Hey guys, it's Mark, the Tremor Trainer from TremorWorkout.com here, doing my part 3 on Jamaica. For those of you who don't know, I was there this summer for 3.5 weeks and I made certain observations about certain things and I wanted to do this mini series. This video is talking about the Chinese invasion of Jamaica. For those of you who are not Jamaican watching, you may be thinking, oh, but I've been watching the news. I didn't see any invasion of Jamaica by China. It is not a military invasion, but more an economic invasion. Now, this is a very hot topic right now. It's quite controversial. There are two clear sides. There's one side saying that we should not be taking money from the Chinese, and there's another side that says we should be taking money from the Chinese because Jamaica's infrastructure is in dire need of redevelopment. While I was there, I spoke to several people about it, family, friends, etc. And I am now, after talking to many people, I'm now leaning more towards the idea that Jamaica should not be taking the money from the Chinese because, of course, that money doesn't actually come free. There are a lot of strings attached to taking Chinese money. When I was there, it was nice to drive on the new highways. These new roads are free of potholes. The tolls are not too expensive compared to what I would have to pay in Japan. And it was nice. It was nice to see that development in Jamaica. But I think that Jamaica is slowly being sold out from under itself. And it's not like the people are not noticing what's happening. Now, I get the argument on this side where people are saying that Jamaica needs to be developed or redeveloped. Jamaica was actually in a very good situation back in the 60s when we were, still under British rule, but before we became independent in 1962. And even the then leader of Singapore went to Jamaica because he wanted to know how to develop his country because Jamaica had done so well with its infrastructure at that time. And if you go to Singapore now, which I've been a couple of times, Singapore is absolutely amazing, has completely passed Jamaica by leaps and bounds with their infrastructure compared to how Jamaica was then or is now, especially now. So I understand the argument that we need money, but the strings attached is a problem for me. So when Jamaica says to China, okay, we'll take your money, you can come in, you can build these highways, there's strings attached. For example, the tolls from the highways. Basically, the Chinese get all the money for X amount of years. I think the French, they built a highway as well. They also get the money from the tolls for X amount of years until it goes back to the Jamaican government. And I'm sure by the time it goes back to the Jamaican government, those highways will be in such terrible shape that, the money that's going to be coming in from tolls are going to be spent rebuilding them. So there's that. Then Jamaica has to give up land to the Chinese. Then Jamaica has to give them tax breaks. So when they come in and they want to set up factories or whatever, they get huge, massive tax breaks. And that money that they generate, for the most part, is going straight back to China. It's not staying in Jamaica. And my previous video, I talked about the lack of circulation of money within the country. So I think that left up to Jamaican politicians who have a history of mismanagement of money, misappropriation of money, it is not a good idea to just take that money in from the Chinese. Because what Jamaican politicians are likely to do is either mismanage the money that comes in or steal the money that comes in. Let's just call it what it is, right? Because even the average politician in Jamaica who goes into office maybe with the best of intentions eventually gets corrupted by this very corrupt system. Let me tell you something. See this book here? History of Jamaica. When I was in Jamaica coming up as a boy, in first form of high school, when I went to Manning's High School, shout out to Manning's. They need a school bus, by the way. I just donated some money through this GoFundMe page. I'll find the link and put it in this video. But this book, beyond when I was in high school reading it to memorize dates, oh, Christopher Columbus discovered Jamaica in 1494, which we all know he didn't, because there were the Arawaks living in Jamaica at that time, the indigenous people of the land, before they were killed off. When I read this book, not as a student just merely to remember dates, but reading this book in my adulthood, as you would any novel, I realized that Jamaica is rotten to its core because it was built on corruption and remains very corrupt. Now, with all this money flooding into the country from the Chinese, are you telling me, are you trying to tell me to believe that these crooked politicians are not taking kickbacks? Do you think they're doing this for the benefit of the people? Of course not. They're doing it for the benefit of themselves, and they will take what they can take because they only think about themselves. Now, Jamaican politicians are not the only people guilty of this. They're not the only politicians guilty of this. But in Jamaica, it is in your face, broad daylight. Everyone knows what's happening. People talk out about it, they talk against it, but we basically in Jamaica feel powerless to the whole thing of corruption. You go to Jamaica, you want to get something, you want to clear something at the wharf. The whole process can be very long-winded with a whole bunch of red tape, right? So what do? You slip someone some money, your car is cleared, your goods are cleared, the whole process becomes faster. And if you're trying to do business, you want to get your things cleared so that you can what? Make money. You just laid out money to buy your goods. You want to start bringing some money back in. So for an easier life, you're paying someone. Someone's getting some kickback somewhere. And that's Jamaican culture. I'm not saying it doesn't happen in other places, right? But my focus right now is on Jamaica. So Jamaica, don't sell yourself out. I'm leaning towards the side of, hey, what we need to do is get real leadership in the country. Jamaica is a country rich in natural resources, right? We have bauxite, which is now taken over by the Chinese. The bauxite industry is taken over by the Chinese. We had a sugarcane industry, which has now been taken over by the Chinese, and it's been run into the ground. We had, so that's what I talked about, sugar, bauxite. We had a banana industry, which is barely holding on. And the one little industry we kind of have left, which is tourism, is being destroyed because of the crime in Jamaica. People are scared to go to Jamaica because of the crime. They'd sooner go to Cuba, they'd sooner go to Barbados, they'd sooner go to the Bahamas because the crime is less there. They feel safer there. Because as soon as something happens in Jamaica, boom, it blows up on the news. So what I think Jamaica needs to do is do it. You might not have that big influx of money, but do it yourselves, a bit at a time. In Jamaica, people say one cocoa full basket, a little at a time. The cocoa pod used to make chocolate. A cocoa pod at a time eventually fills the basket. Then when that basket is filled, then with proper management of the money, you put it back into the infrastructure. Keep these politicians accountable and not have them mismanage or steal the country's money, because in the long term, we all suffer. While crooked politicians are thinking about themselves for just this moment, securing their futures, their families' futures, the majority of the population suffers not only now but long term. And in my opinion, what Jamaica really needs is some Castro-like dictatorship. Someone who goes in and says, right, we're either putting you in prison, we might have to deal with you, but Jamaica needs something. Jamaica needs some drastic measures to get the country back on track. You know, in August, when Jamaica celebrated its 55th year of independence, the money for the fireworks and the big gala celebration in Kingston was funded by the Chinese. Why? Apparently the Chinese even, and this is, I heard this with my own ears, the Chinese wanted the color red included in the celebrations because, of course, the Chinese flag is red and whatnot, right? Yeah, the Jamaican flag is what? Green for the land, yellow for the sunshine, and black for the struggle of the people, right? And people who think about Jamaica might think about red because of Rastafarianism, but that's not an official color in the flag. And the Chinese wanted red in the celebrations. And the Jamaican government took their money to fund the celebrations, but of course had to appease their demands for having red. I don't agree with this. Call me patriotic, call me a nationalist, despite my also British influence in my culture. Yes, I was born in England to Jamaican parents. But call me a nationalist, call me a patriot, but I think Jamaica is going down a slippery slope, right? All the prime beachfront properties are being sold off to foreigners. One thing I do respect about Barbados, right? And Barbados doesn't have a great relationship with Jamaica for some reason. It's this whole colonial thing of, you know, we're being pitted against each other, Jamaicans and Bajans, whatever. But one thing I respect about Barbados is that you cannot buy land in Barbados unless you have some family bloodline connection. When I went to Malaysia, I was on Langkawi Island. They told me the exact same thing there in Malaysia. I can't just turn up, even if I'm loaded with cash, I can't just turn up and buy land. I need to be married to a Malay woman or something, or whatever. There has to be some bloodline link, right? And I think Jamaica needs to adopt something like this into the constitution that prevents the country from being sold out or bought out, depends on how you want to phrase it, to foreigners. Of course we want to get foreign investment into the country. It would be great if Jamaican industries could be restored to their once glory. But how things are now, with us as usual, thinking with myopia, short-sightedness, we're just thinking grab, grab, grab now, not thinking about future generations and how our choices now are going to affect the generations in the future, right? We have to stop thinking short term. We have to stop thinking through the eyes, through short-sightedness, myopia, right? We have to think long term. And for Jamaica to get any better, Jamaica has to pull itself up by its own bootstraps and weed out the corruption, have people in the system who want to see the long-term benefit, the long-term development of the country to benefit future generations. I know this is turned into a soapbox video, but I'm very passionate about things. I'm passionate about being healthy. I'm passionate about my lifestyle. I'm a passionate person. I get this from my mom. I don't apologize for my passion, and I want to see my country do better. Why should we constantly be in that third world developing state? When are things going to turn around where we can get to the point where we're like Singapore? Singapore is an amazing place, and to think they developed their blueprint off of Jamaica, of how we were. It's amazing. Hats off to Singapore, right? So hey, I don't want to make this video any longer. This is turning into an almost rant, but things have to be said. All right, so thanks for watching. This is Mark, the Tremor Trainer from Tremor Workout. If you liked this video, please click like, please comment, please share, subscribe, follow, all that good social media stuff. Until the next video, I've got some more stuff to talk about Jamaica. Look out for that coming soon. Take care, guys. Peace.